Vijay Mallya's is an incredibly interesting case. These days, he is known as the man who stole from Indian banks and fled to London. Until about 5 to 10 years ago, he was known as the king of good times. He was known for his flamboyance, owning India's only Formula 1 team, owning the RCB in capital, partying with air hostesses from the incredibly luxurious Kingfisher Airlines, and having one of the biggest liquor businesses in the whole world. Today, the Indian government is working hard to get Mallya extradited from the United Kingdom so that he can pay back around 9,000 crores that Vijay Mallya still has in outstanding loans to Indian banks. So in this new episode of What Went Wrong, we're going to analyze what went wrong with the liquor byron, the owner of RCB, a fabulous partier, and now a fugitive from India, Vijay Mallya. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I come up with a new episode in this series every Tuesday, and you can check out the other episodes in the playlist from the link in the description and in the cards. I'm now going to divide this video into 3 parts. Part 1 will explore the rise of Vijay Mallya, Part 2 will be the 3 big mistakes that led to his fall, and Part 3 will be his escape and what happens next in the life of Vijay Mallya. You can skip to the time frames mentioned on the screen if you want to skip to a certain part in the video. Now, what went wrong with Vijay Mallya? Let's begin. At the age of 25, Vijay Mallya became the sole leader of United Breweries, a well-regarded and respected liquor business which was built by his father Vijay Mallya, who suddenly died at the age of 59, leaving a 25-year-old Vijay Mallya in charge. Vijay Mallya, in the easiest way to explain, was a miser, and as we know now, Vijay Mallya is entirely opposite. So in 1995, 4 years after liberalization of India, Vijay Mallya went on to expand his liquor business, making United Breweries the 10th largest in the world. Here is a number to make you think. When he took over, by 2001, his company was globally in the top 5. When Vijay Mallya took over, his company sold only 2.5 million cases of liquor. In 2001, he was selling over 26 million cases. To understand his rise in terms of business, consider this one amazing example. When Vijay Mallya initially took over the business, he wanted to buy Shaw Wallace, another liquor company that had better brand appeal than United Breweries, and Vijay Mallya wanted to acquire Shaw Wallace in the late 90s. He wanted to bid solo, but rules and regulations did not allow him to, so he needed a partner. He partnered with a Gulf-based businessman Manu Chabaria to bid for Shaw Wallace. They did bid together and won, but when they did win, Manu Chabaria refused to acknowledge Vijay Mallya's claims and left him alone. When Manu Chabaria died in 2002, Vijay Mallya audaciously bid for Shaw Wallace and bought it over. And that is not all he did. In 2002, Vijay Mallya became a Rajya Sabha member of the parliament and entered into politics. With his Rajya Sabha entry, he was able to build contacts across several political parties, and his ambition did not end there. He expanded his liquor empire, making Kingfisher beer a global brand. He acquired the Mohan Bagan and East Bengal football clubs in Kolkata, owned the Royal Challengers Bangalore IPL team, owned the only Formula 1 team from India, and what would prove to be his biggest mistake, set up the luxurious Kingfisher Airlines. Surprisingly, there is a saying that goes around: the quickest way to become a millionaire is for a billionaire to invest in the airline sector. When Vijay Mallya set up Kingfisher Airlines in 2003, he would not know that even till 2006, when it was publicly listed, it would not see a single year of profit. Today, the airline has an accumulated losses of about 8,200 crores. The company, Kingfisher Airlines, of course blames the government for its fate. High cost of aviation fuel, requirements to service non-profitable routes, etc., etc. But the truth is something else entirely. Vijay Mallya's business plans and style of functioning were the root cause of the failure of Kingfisher Airlines. Vijay Mallya brought glamour into the business of running airlines. He had the most extravagant airplanes, air hostesses that he would pick himself, gave away goodie bags to each passenger and a lot of other things. Everything seemed to be going well for him in the beginning. In 2002, he acquired Air Deccan, putting in more money than the other buyers to get the deal. He got the huge market share, several aircrafts and a license to fly on international routes. But he also acquired the losses that were incurred by Air Deccan. This was his first mistake. He spun off the Air Deccan's fleet into a subsidiary called Kingfisher Red. So Kingfisher Airline had an economy as well as a business class, with one flying over the more popular and profitable routes and a red one did the routes of tier 2 cities. And the second mistake is that Vijay Mallya had too much on his plate to handle. He was not just into one business but several, and each of them was vastly different from the other. Normally, you would appoint a CEO for each to run each of them proficiently. But Vijay Mallya ran the airline business himself. Even though Kingfisher Airlines had everything going for itself, a loyal customer base, great visibility, great network, except an able person to run the business. It's not that Vijay Mallya did not try his best, it's that he just wasn't good enough. The business model was getting torn apart. The two Kingfisher brands were eating into each other because of course the customer would opt for the cheaper priced brand if they are too similar. It was all coming apart. The third mistake only builds on the other two. There are experts that believe that Kingfisher should have first managed the domestic business and then went on to fly on international routes, because there the competition only gets bigger and favors those that have deeper pockets. And if all that might have sounded too confusing or too much to digest, let's take a brief look at the timeline of what brought Vijay Mallya down. The king of good times no more. In May 2005, Vijay Mallya launched Kingfisher Airlines at the spectacular event in Mumbai. He said that the company is a coming-of-age gift for his son Siddharth on his 18th birthday. In June 2007, Kingfisher Airlines picked up a 26% stake in Air Deccan for 135 million. It's reported that Vijay Mallya never went through the accounts of the loss-making carrier before agreeing to buy it. In April 2008, Deccan Aviation, which ran Air Deccan, merged with Kingfisher Airlines, and in September of the same year, Kingfisher Airlines launches international operations by connecting Bengaluru to London. In October 2009, losses start mounting on the airline's book. Kingfisher returns 19 leased aircrafts to lessors over 10 months. The company said it's a part of a planned capacity reduction program. In September 2011, the company has a debt pile of 1.7 billion and has been struggling to pay salaries and jet fuel bills. Vijay Mallya at this point shuts down Kingfisher Red in attempt to stem losses. In November 2011, Kingfisher falls to 5th place in domestic market share from 3rd in the previous month and grounds some planes to save money. December 2011 reports claim that Kingfisher Airlines had not deposited with the government most of the income tax deducted from the employees' salaries for the last 2 fiscal years. October 2012, Kingfisher Airline is grounded after its staff, who have not been paid their salaries since months, decided not to work any longer. The Indian aviation regulator suspends the airline's flying license after it fails to come up with a viable planned solution for its financial and operational revival. November 2012, the British spirit giant Diageo acquires a 53.4% stake in United Spirits for over 2 billion, but Vijay Mallya does not use the money to pay back his debts. January 2013, the airline loses its flying permit after it misses a deadline to renew its suspended license. February 2013, lenders decide to start the recovery process for 7,500 crore loans given to Kingfisher. Banks like SBI, PNB, IDBI Bank, Bank of India and Bank of Baroda were the biggest lenders. In November 2015, SBI tags Vijay Mallya and 2 of his companies, Kingfisher Airlines and United Breweries, as willful defaulters. And then we move to March 2016 when Vijay Mallya leaves India after banks take a legal course to recover dues from Kingfisher Airlines. And days after he left the country, he just claimed on Twitter that I am an international businessman. I travel to and from India frequently. I did not flee from India and neither am I an absconder. Rubbish. Which brings us to the third part of this video. On 2nd March 2016, Vijay Mallya was seen leaving to London with 7 heavy bags and an unidentified woman, which was presumably his girlfriend. This left the banks in a state of panic, but only after Vijay Mallya has left India. Kingfisher Airlines had at this point defaulted on all their loans. The banks who had loaned Vijay Mallya moved to Supreme Court, and it all became a public media issue, one that was hot for quite a while. This was a very special case in the Indian media and the political scenario. There was a special pressure on the BJP-led government to bring back Mallya to the country. The big question now is, how could he escape when law enforcement agencies were looking for him? The answer is simple. It is possible that Vijay Mallya was tipped that he could be arrested, and Vijay Mallya used his diplomatic passport to leave India. The fact that could have helped him specially was that a lookout notice for him had been downgraded a month before he fled on 2nd March. In February 2017, the Indian government requested UK to hasten the extradition process of 16 Indians, including Mallya. He was arrested in London in April 2017 and his extradition hearings began. In December 2018, Vijay Mallya offered his creditors to accept his offer of repaying the full principal amount that he owes them. However, that amount he owed was about half of what the airline owed in total. In February of 2019, the UK Home Secretary approved his extradition order, which Mallya has since appealed. And that sadly is quite the anticlimactic end to the story for now. Until Vijay Mallya is brought back to India, there won't be anything new that happens to the story. And Vijay Mallya can very well stay in London for as long as he is not literally thrown out of there. And that was the story of what went wrong with the king of good times, Vijay Mallya. Hope you found this video interesting. As always, thank you so much for watching it till the end. There are more episodes in the playlist that you will find in the description and also in the cards, so do check them out. Leave a comment on whether you think Vijay Mallya will ever be brought back to India. Like the video if you liked it, share it with anyone who is curious about what went wrong with Vijay Mallya. Subscribe to this channel for more such videos. There's an upload schedule in the description that you could check out for more content. Until the next one, goodbye.